To call to order the August 6th Board of Public Works and Utilities Committees. It is currently 4 p.m. I'll start with roll call. Mayor Smith,
Here.
Alder Dan Stevens,
Present.
Jared Holter,
Here.
Sabrina Steger.
Here.
And I am Alder Steve Knott, and I am also here. Consideration and action on the minutes from the previous meeting.
Chair, I move that we accept the minutes from the previous meeting.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve by Dan Stevens, seconded by Mayor Smith. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 3, public input. Anyone wishing to provide public input will be limited to 3 minutes per individual. Please state your name and your address. First call for public input. Second call for public input. Anybody online? Third and final call for public input. Public input is closed. Moving on to item number 4, bids received for fire department type 5 rescue truck. Chief.
Yeah, thank you. In the 2024 CIP budget, we had $375,000 reserved for a type 5 rescue truck. This would be to replace Rescue 2, which is, I think at the age on it, I was going to step down there, but it is quite old. We've set out for bids on June 24th, and bids are due back this morning at 09:30. We had a bid opening process at 10 o'clock this morning, and we received one bid for this project, which unfortunately has become quite the norm, as seems like fire truck manufacturers have plenty of work out there. We did receive one email back from E1 Group, which is several apparatus manufacturers, and he stated that all their manufacturers had declined to bid on this project. So with that in mind, we did have one bid come back. Unfortunately, it was over on the base bid. It was $399,462. 3 options noted in that bid for deductions. One being tire chains, 2 the lift kit and non-OEM tires, and then 3 the blackout option. With that being said, that would get us under the $375,000. However, we wanted to maintain as much of the specification as we possibly could. So with that, we feel that we can get $20,000 for the sale of Rescue 2. And then we would then reinsert the blackout package and the 2-inch chassis lift and non-OEM tires. That would put us at $392,290 with the $375,000 in CIP and the sale of Rescue 2 at $20,000. That would put us at $395,000. So it'd be roughly $3,000 under that amount. So that's what we are recommending tonight before this body, is that we purchase a type 5 rescue truck from Reliant Fire Apparatus for a Skeeter emergency vehicle on a Ford 550 4x4 chassis with a rescue squad wet body in the amount of $392,290. We'll take any questions.
Okay. Do I hear a motion before we discuss?
Sure. I move that we accept the bid.
Okay, I'll second. Open for discussion. I have a couple questions first. So which are you recommending that we're deleting the blackout? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, we'd recommend deleting the tire chains. We did discuss this right after we got this bid this morning, and talked about how many times we do have tire chains on our current Rescue 1, and we've never deployed them.
Oh,
So we figured that would probably be the area to cut, and in order to keep the specification as close to
okay.
our original spec, we decided to include those
And-
other 2.
Are the tires the same on the old and the new? Would that you would be able to use the old ones if we needed them? Are they the same size?
They will be
attached to the
different
truck.
size.
Oh, they're attached to the.
They're attached to the truck and they have automatics. They have a toggle switch where you turn them on and off.
Oh, the tire chains, yes.
Yeah, yeah, we have those on
Oh,
our
interesting. Okay.
plow truck.
Okay. So we just would go without.
Correct.
Okay, anyone else? Dan?
Chief, when the bid was submitted, were we expecting these options as part of the original 375,000?
Yes, that was in the original specification.
So and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I just think it's odd that if we take these three things off that were $26 under what the goal was, is that, did the vendor like know how much we had allotted, and it just seems kind of odd to me. That's all, but that said, I mean, and my second point, I guess, is, how are we determining the value of the 20,000 for the sale of the other vehicle? So if we only got 15,000, would that, I mean, that's a budget issue we'll have to address later.
Correct. And we would, so there's $3,000 buffer in there. So you're right. If it did come in at 15,000, we'd probably have to take that out of new equipment or equipment replacement budget. Keep in mind, we're at about a 2-year wait on this. So we would take that out of equipment replacement and plan accordingly for 2026.
And then the final question is, should we delete the automatic tire chains? Is there a scenario where if weather conditions were really bad, that like, are we, however unlikely, there could be some sort of safety issue where a truck needs to get from a point A to point B and they can't?
Sure. That was part of the discussion this morning. So with the 2-inch lift kit and the more aggressive tires combined with the tire chains, I think you're kind of replicating, kind of that off-road ability of this vehicle. The reason we want this to be off-road is, some of the hills out in, especially in the township, as far as the, driveways and that sort of thing, just being able to get up those. I feel like we've never deployed them yet. And it's kind of an expensive option at, $7,000 to have on a rig that we've never used the tire chains.
Right, but we've never deployed them yet, but the additional service area is maybe a different factor.
Right.
So I'm not sure how I feel either way, but
Sure.
Jared?
So we actually have these automatic tire chains on our plow trucks. We're out actually getting the conditions so it's drivable. So we do use our tire chains. Not a lot, but we do have used them. But we also have tire chains that we can put on the vehicles, just like you would like your personal vehicle. If you ever put tire chains on a personal vehicle, but it's going to take you 15 minutes to get them on. But if there was a bad enough ice event that would happen, we've got chains at the truck at our public works facility besides the other chains. So I don't know if we got a size that meets their truck specification, but I'm guessing we probably do. That if we know we're going to get a really bad icing event, we could be prepared, and actually, especially since they have 2 vehicles, we could chain one up, leave the other one unchained. And if we did start having problems, they could take the second vehicle out. I think that would be a viable option for if needed as an emergency scenario.
Chief?
Plus the other option is we'll still have the current rescue with the tire chains on there. I mean, that is going to be, moved into reserve capacity, but as Jared noted, if there is an ice storm, we could always have that be our first out, if necessary as well. So we still have that option.
so I'm hearing we could get by without it.
I think so.
And then I don't think, just to address one of your concerns, Dan, and the chief can correct me on this if I'm wrong. I don't think that it's a coincidence that, these cuts would come in just under. I don't think that would be on the vendor. I suspect what the chief was looking at is if you can't get extra money out of what was budgeted, what can you get rid of to get us underneath? So I think is that correct what you're
Yes.
doing?
Yep. Yep.
Just going line by line, what can I do to save us that $24,462 if we didn't want to approve the extra money? That's all.
That gives us just under the 375.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm hearing is that the chains aren't deemed real necessary. It's exceptionally low risk for the or excuse me, exceptionally low benefit for the, Mayor, did you have any?
I do not. I think I would go with the recommendation
Yeah,
of staff.
okay. Sabrina, the extra money would come from where?
Yeah, so Chief and I did chat. It would either come from the sale of the rescue, and if that were to not happen, we wouldn't get as much as we needed, then we would come forward and ask for the money out of equipment replacement.
Okay,
The difference, because what's in the CIP is the 375, and so many projects come so close to what we actually budget them that we don't really usually have much room in the CIP in regards to our bond. So we would likely come forward and ask for the additional funds out of equipment replacement if the sale of rescue two were to be under what is projected.
okay,
There's a possibility they may get more than 20,000.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
sure. Yeah. Any other comments, discussions, concerns? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Oh, I'm sorry. That was for the full amount. So what we need to do then is have a, was that for the full amount? What was the motion for? Or was it for the 392, 290?
I think it was,
What was Dan's motion? And I took it to be for the staff recommendation.
Yeah, I thought
Okay.
392, 290.
Okay, all right. Motion. I'm sorry?
Diane, did you have something?
No,
Okay.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
But
Oh.
to clarify,
For the 392,
I made the motion, so I think we need to do we need to amend it to the 392.
You didn't make, what was your motion?
was it for the full amount?
That's where the problem is, I think.
To be honest, I don't think we specified. I thought it was for the, like as stated on the agenda, but that doesn't actually say. I think we should just clarify that what we're voting on is for the 392.
Yes.
If we have to do that in amendment, fine, but if we all agree that that's what the motion
Well,
was.
Chief had given his recommendation ahead of time, so I guess I was assuming that's what you had.
I just want to make sure there's
Okay.
no dubiousness of what we're voting on. So we're voting on the 392 for the chief's
392,
recommendation.
290, yeah. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next item, number 5, discussion on water, sanitary sewer and storm sewer projects for the 2025, 2029 capital improvements budget. Jared.
So as we're preparing capital improvement budgets for the upcoming capital improvements presentation, I did prepare just a utilities portion of the capital improvements budget that these projects will be within the 5-year capital improvement budget, but this is just the water, sanitary sewer and storm sewer projects, and it does have the general that goes with those projects. But what I'm trying to mainly go over here is the water, sanitary sewer. And I guess the reason I want to kind of bring this forward tonight is to show what the projected staff feels are needs within the utilities and how those, sometimes we get into the discussion of capital improvements in general, and we lose sight of the fact that the utilities are separate entities and that they are funded based upon a fee structure that is to support those services. So I just wanted to bring up what we had in those projects. So if we go through my list that I have tonight, if you go to page 8 of your packet tonight, you'll see the last page of the list. And what we did when we went through this is we actually looked at the projects that are included, and we actually had some green projects that could be moved beyond 2029. So those are projects that we know at some point we're going to have a need, but will it be within the next 5 years? And one of those examples is well house improvements. The DNR states we must do well house improvements, but we probably won't have to do them until we do have a need to update the well at some point. Blue projects are construction year uncertain. So if you look at the very last project in there, we got stormwater quality management improvements at Pond 5. That project will probably most likely not get built until such point the DNR changes their regulations for suspended solid removals, or if we get put as a targeted watershed. So that project is, I think, a viable project and it would be needed if we needed to, the mandates change, but right now it's not really, doesn't have to, I would not feel right funding that right now. Then we also looked at removing the Sand Lake Road and 12th Avenue South. That's a large project. At some point, Sand Lake Road's going to need to be redone. That's slated in 2029, so we removed that from the list. So basically, we removed a lot of the unknowns out of the list. The ones that we either don't have a for sure date, for sure time, could be moved. And once we got those out of the way in the next 4 years, if you go over to the total on your sheet there at the very bottom in red, we've got just over $13 million of the projects. So do I expect all $13 million of the projects are going to get funded? I obviously know we have to prioritize and items like that. But we're trying to make sure that we are looking at all options. So, through the water and sewer utility especially, we can apply for safe drinking water loans, clean water loans, mortgage revenue, and the normal bonding process. So we want to make sure when we're doing these projects, because some of the projects, if we want to do clean water loans or safe drinking water loans, for example, we've got to know that a year in advance. So like if you told me right now you want to do one of these projects using one of those funding sources, you just put it another year back. So those are the reasons for that, to know where we're headed and what we're going to do. Because if we try and fit the whatever number of the 13 million over the next 4 years into our capital improvements program, we could have a very short discussion if we bonded just the water and sewer utility projects. So it's just for discussion. It's to bring up more so these projects will all be mixed in with the full capital improvements list come September and then brought forward over that 3-month period. But I just wanted to bring just the water and sewer projects and highlight those. And I guess with that, open up for questions or if Sabrina has anything to add or anything like that.
You want to, okay, go ahead.
I guess the only thing that I would add is as we move into 2025 and we look at, there are all of these projects that are needed over the next 5 years that we would come forth in 2025 for 2026 with a true CIP plan for how we're going to fund these over the next 5 years and what that's going to look like. Is it going to be a mortgage revenue bond? Is it going to be a clean water loan? Like, how are we going to do that? There are some mortgage revenue bonds that are going to be paid off soon. So I would hope that we could come forward with not only like our full list of projects, but how we plan to fund them over 5 years. And that's kind of how I'd like to see our CIP move forward. So I know Jared and I have had a lot of discussion on this, as well as with Rick as well, on how we can kind of improve that process. Each year we would have our list of what we're going to fund, but then we have like a 5-year outlook of this is how we're going to move forward.
Okay. Yes, Mayor.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'd like to see in conjunction with this information is like based on our current rate structure, how like what you're saying, but like maybe in a graphic form, like how much rates would need to rise in order to accommodate this, or at what level do we need to make adjustments or find alternative funding sources? Because like you said, with some things dropping off, we would be able to add some things. How much is that? I don't know. So looking at this just by itself doesn't really say a lot without knowing how the rest of the financial makeup is to compare it to, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm not articulating it very well. But
No, I think I'm following. We could almost have our bond consultant help us a little bit with that, I think, or part of it as far as the mortgage revenue falling off. But then, like Sabrina said, there are some mortgage revenue bonds that are coming, will be paid in the next 2 years. So that will assist drastically. But if we, for instance, if we do any kind of water projects, we'll have to do a full rate adjustment through the PSC. And they will want to make sure that they'll obviously do the full analysis to make sure we're bringing in enough revenue and rate of return to support these projects. So we can look at that and definitely get a ballpark picture of what that could be.
Yeah. So, I mean, I imagine it would be something measurable, like historically, over the last 10 years, this is what we've spent in CIP for the,
Water sewer.
water, sewer and sanitary storm. This is what we've spent. But I mean, then they're still separate though, right? 'Cause you still got to break it down to water and sewer and whatnot so that we could have some predictability, like if this is realistic or if we need to find a different, like Sabrina's saying, a different way to fund it, or how much will rates have to go up in order to support what we need to do? I think it's a great idea and a great way of thinking about it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Any other comments? All right,
So I was just gonna say, any plan we do is, it's a good idea to have a long-term plan,
sure.
plan the strategy, but it needs to be fluid because things can change. We don't know what the rates are gonna be. You're gonna have different councils and it's gonna have to still be approved year after year and, but kind of having charting a path on how we're gonna get from point A to point B is okay. I think what Kim was looking for is just kind of how much room do we have to make it so it's budget neutral,
Mhm.
or, you know, like things don't have to, we don't have to make cuts or raise fees. How much money would we have to allocate towards these fees? That's what I was hearing. So.
Mhm.
Yeah, like putting it in context, other
Mhm.
than just a list of things.
Agree.
Thank you, Dan.
Any other comments? All right, moving on to item number 6, update on Lacrosse Area Waters Stormwater Education Group. Back to Jared.
So I'm kind of taking city engineer Kevin Schubert's spiel here, but he's on vacation, so he's not with us, but I'll give him my best Lacrosse Area Waters updates. So Lacrosse Area Waters, we've been a group of the public education campaign for the stormwater utility for since the inception. So I think it was 2012 we started it. So it's been well over 10 years. It's a great group. We satisfy the majority of our public education requirements required in our stormwater permit issued through the DNR as mandated by the federal government. So just going through their packet here, if you go to page 11, you see their strategic focus. So, you know, they're really going for greater outreach. So the stormwater consortium group that did education had a individual working for them doing the consulting work. Well, Habitat for Humanity took that over a couple of years ago, and they've really stepped it up as far as what's happening. So they want a greater outreach, and that's that center circle. But so they've been doing it through a variety of ways, trying to get more signage out where we have stormwater improvements, social platforms, you know, Facebook and things like that. Public engagement, they've really stepped up their public engagement as far as doing it, and then a video series. And that next page, page 12, is a picture of Kevin and one of the individuals from the Stormwater Consortium, and then Brandon Heileman's kind of hidden behind the video series in blue there. He's kind of the blue guy, but
Should have put that blue field over Kevin.
yeah. We did a series of talking points and videos through the consortium on salt usage, and those videos are really good. Was a great thing to get the word out. So that's just one example of something that, you know, City of Onalaska has actually been involved with specifically. And then if you go to page 30 in your packet tonight, they've got some graphs and some trends. You can see that how many people they're hitting at events and presentations, and their website page views have went up dramatically. So it's just kind of a good reminder of all the good things that happen in the stormwater realm. Once again, it's a great partnership. We get a lot of bang for the money that we spend on this. So I am really happy about it. Kevin does a great job of interacting with that group. They have quarterly meetings and everything like that. So just an update. If you got any questions, I would suggest to everyone, you know, if you can go to lacrosseareawaters.org and go see the website. They got some really neat stuff on there. So
Yeah, I think I will. It's remarkable. It's a 3,500% increase in 1 year on webpage.
well, things had slid off a little bit too, but it's been a great year for stormwater education.
Any comments, questions? It's just an update. All right. Moving on to item number 7, approved community center bid to Market and Johnson, Inc. Dan, I assume this is you.
I can start it out, so we have, had the community center project has been under design and just anticipation for many years here, been trying to, schedule the project itself. We did have 10 bidders on the project. It was amazing, bidding when we did have the bidding back in June 25th of 24. Of those 10 bidders, we had 5 of them under 5 million, and we had a couple bidders that were within a few $1,000s of one another, but staff is recommending Market and Johnson for the amount of $4,798,151 even. They did have bid bond and met all the requirements of the bid, so staff is recommending that, utilizing the monies in the 2024 capital improvement budget.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve $4,798,151 for the Market and Johnson bid to build the community center.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We could say yay.
Big yay.
Motion passes. Okay, item number 8 is pay estimates. I see we have a new one that's out on our table. There's
Yes,
16
we,
items.
we did add a number 16 for TJ's Trucking to your estimate sheet that came in after the packet went out. But staff is recommending to approve all 16 estimates on your sheet handed out tonight.
I move we approve those pay estimates dated August 16th. There are 16 items.
I'll second.
Okay, movement to motion to approve by Mayor Smith, seconded by Dan Stevens. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. That concludes the Public Works portion of the agenda. We're moving on to utilities. Item number 9 is closed session to consider a motion. Oh, yes,
Yes, Chair. My recommendation would be that we just move this right on to Common Council and have it be a closed session on Common Council. I think it's a better discussion for the entire council than just those here, and it'll save us from
doing it twice.
doing it twice.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to table this until next week's Common Council.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by myself, seconded by Mayor Smith to table until next week's Common Council. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We are into item number 10, adjournment. I'll entertain a motion.
I move
Make
to
it-
adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, motion to adjourn by Dan Stevens, seconded by Sabrina Steger. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Time is 4:28. She kept on coming in that half second late. It's all good. Oh, yeah.